Hi everybody, I am back and I am here today with my friend Sergio and we are going to talk about Civil War. We've seen it, he's actually seen it more times than I have. I've only seen it once. He's seen it, twice?
Yeah, I saw it twice.
Okay, I thought 3 times, but so
No.
you're not that huge of a nerd. So we're going to talk about it. I'm going to reach into the furthest depths of my memories because I saw it actually like 2 weeks ago. But we do want to talk about this because we really enjoyed it. I think, well, he's seen it twice already, so I'm assuming
I want to watch it a third time.
He wants to, yeah. And I do want to see it again. So let's just get into it. Overall thoughts as far as the entire movie. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. A lot of people are using hyperbole saying like, oh, it's best movie ever, best Marvel movie ever. I would say like top 3, Iron Man 1, Winter Soldier, and this one. Like, this was a really good movie. What?
I'm only saying that because that's my top 3. Iron Man, because it brought everything together, like just starting the whole Marvel thing, and then Winter Soldier was really good, and then this one, Civil War, is just made it that much better. Like, those are the top 3.
It built it. I think Winter Soldier like set something up, and then the Russos just went and built on top of that with Civil War. It does feel a lot like Avengers 2.5.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I do think that it, like I said, it builds on what was established in Winter Soldier, and it just kind of moves on from there. But that involves all the rest of the Avengers. So I mean, it was kind of like it was a given. So I think it did have a little bit of technical issues and a little bit of some story issues. My biggest concerns were actually on the technical side. I feel like my like the biggest examples, the biggest things that took me out of the movie were the scene, the Bucky, Black Panther Cap chase scene. There was some moments where Black Panther really looked CGI, like he looked like he was fake, essentially, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, kind of.
And then there was also the part in the airport scene right before the big battle. Tony is in his suit without his helmet, and there's like a floating head effect with Tony. He just looked fake again.
Like, oddly placed on his
the neck area. Like, it's like it was weird. And there's a couple of more instances where it was like, okay, I've seen you do better. But other than that, I mean, I thought the film, the story, the character development. There was a lot of character development in this movie, not just for the title character, but for a lot of people in the background as well. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. What about you?
I really enjoyed it. Before we get started, is this spoiler free?
No,
okay.
We're just getting. I mean, the film has been out for weeks now.
If you haven't seen it,
go ham.
Yeah. I agree with you as far as like the effects. Did you feel like in the beginning when they first started fighting with like Black Widow? Black Widow at the beginning, there was a little bit of shaky camera.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, like, but yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, please don't let this be like the whole film. But it cleared up, and then especially with like Black Panther, where it was Bucky put his hand down on the gravel because Black Panther pushed the motorcycle over. That just looked really fake for whatever reason. I was like, but the movie all in and of itself, I really enjoyed it. It was, and like I said, Iron Man, Winter Soldier, and then Civil War is my third favorite movie.
We did not rehearse this. This is literally not like.
And it was like the only thing that I kind of feel like not bad about, but it was just like I feel kind of like Captain America got lost in the like, it's supposed to be his film, but he kind of got sunken in the shrubbery. Like the Simpsons.
Like,
but then he comes back out at the very end, like, oh, I'm bringing everybody back out. But there was a lot. Honestly, I want to go see it again just to catch everything and just relive the whole moment because it was awesome. Like,
yeah. So I mean, I was gonna, and if you guys follow me on social media, which you should, at Maniac for Media, you know that I am Team Cap all the way. I'm Team Stucky all the way. And I didn't really know where his take on it was. He comes in here today when we're filming, and he's obviously in the same boat that I am. There was a lot of what I heard was that you can see both sides of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
Like the story presents the argument on both sides really well. So, is that something that you agree with, or were you Team Cap and did you stay Team Cap?
I mean, I've read the comic book too and stuff, and I am still Team like Captain America all the way. For me, I guess it's just even before that, Iron Man is cool, but he's just like arrogant too, to me. So, and that's just, you know, I felt that if they signed the if they signed the Accords and they were, now I feel like they would have been just like a Bucky, because they were told to go and do this, and they had no say in what they were going to do. And then it's like, okay, well, people are still going to die with whatever you do, so then how does that change with what they're doing now? There's going to be collateral damage all the time.
But the thing was, then, with the Accords, it was...
accountability.
The accountability falls on all these countries that that we're in favor of. So Tony, because the thing I didn't agree with, and you're right, like he's so arrogant. In the comics, I was actually more on Tony's side because the registration made sense in the comics. But because the MCU doesn't have any secret identities and things like that, like it doesn't hold that weight that it did in the comics. So,
right.
And in here, all Tony wants to do is just not feel as guilty about everything that has happened. It felt to me like Tony just wanted to kind of wash his hands of everything, and he just didn't want to feel the guilt. He just didn't want to feel the burden of
trying to make things better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it felt a little cheap, and then him not realizing that the government was going to control them the way that they did, essentially, because like when they finally were captured, they were locked up. Wanda was like literally put in a straitjacket, and I don't see how he didn't see that that's how it would have ended up, and he was just so worried about himself, he didn't see about what how it would have affected everybody else.
Yeah. Did you read the comics?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the comic book scene where I believe Tony Stark is out in public talking about what had just happened, and then one of the mothers comes and sticks like that
the
scene
photo
and then
spits in
but
his
she actually
face
spits in his face, which
yeah.
I kind of wish would have happened in the movie, but that scene I think was really important in the movie.
A friend of mine, the guy that I went to see the movie with, he asked me, so like, because he hadn't read the comics, so he's like, is it like the comics in any way? And at first I was like, no, not at all, but there were some like a little bit of like references to, or like you mentioned the woman that that was like, my son was in Sokovia and he died, blah blah blah, and then it was a little similar to the way that it kind of all starts. When Wanda, she's trying to contain the blast,
and her powers
and so with and exactly, she's not used to her powers just yet, so in her trying to do that, she accidentally sets the bomb off in a crowded building. Kind of the same it kind of mirrors the comics, in which they're so caught up in doing their reality TV show thing that they kind of just they lose track of where they are and what they're doing, and just by mistake the villain, I forget his name, but he lets him he explodes. Again, self-detonation, because the other guy, he self-detonated, and then in this one, Crossbones, he kind of kamikazed. And so that explosion blast, that accident, that was the catalyst for everyone to say, okay, Avengers, we need to rein you in. There's that one shot, that very famous shot of like Cap holding the shield, and then
love that one.
That was a really cool like callback. So I guess we're both Team Cap, and I stayed Team Cap, and in fact throughout this whole movie, and then towards the end of it, and then now going into the next films, I have a serious dislike for Tony Stark, and just the way that everything that he did and has been doing throughout, like it's all just kind of about him. And I wonder if they did arrogance instead of alcoholism, you know what I mean? Because in the movies, in the MCU, he's building all these robots, when he's trying to deal with his I was gonna say postpartum depression with his PTSD.
Yeah.
You know, he's building robots, he's tinkering, and Pepper is like, "You need to stop," and he's like, "But I can't." And then he's like, "Oh, you know, I destroyed all the robots," you know. And then next thing you know, he's got the Iron Legion and he's got another suit on.
Right.
So this kid can't stop. He's a literal addict. He's an alcoholic, but in this alcoholism in the comics is being expressed as an addiction to creating and building in the MCU. And that's kind of really, that's souring my taste for Tony Stark now.
Right, no, and I agree with you. And I really think Pepper Potts was like his, like, she kept him like grounded, you know, and
as much
and then,
as she could.
Yeah, and then she's not even in the film at all whatsoever. But so he's like, I think he's like, yeah, like he's in the highest point of like alcoholism,
right,
like in the comic books right now. So he's got to do some changing of his own and stuff like that. But yeah, you bring up a good point for that.
So one of the things that this movie, one of the things that like kind of made it more hype than you could imagine was the addition of, first of all, they announced Black Panther, and that was really exciting. I was actually there at the lineup for Phase 3, and they announced Black Panther, and they showed concept art of what he would look like, and even from there I was like, this guy looks awesome.
Yeah,
like I can't wait to see him on screen. And he did not disappoint on screen at all. Like he was badass.
They picked up a good person.
Regal, like he should be. Yeah. Chadwick Boseman was a really good actor, a choice for this. Out of the suit, his accent, the way he presented himself as like a prince and then eventually a king. And then in the suit, like he just looked slick. He looked like, it didn't look weird. Like the claws coming in and out, you know, I thought it would look kind of like, to me,
I thought it was gonna be cheesy, but then it actually looked pretty, like it looked pretty cool. I wasn't that big of, I'm not a big Black Panther fan, but it kind of made me a fan. I was like, damn, this guy's badass, and he has like that, like the way he held himself in the when he met Scarlett Johansson in the thing. He was just very like presentable. He was like, you know, you could tell he's like royalty and stuff like that. But then here he is donning the suit and stuff. Like, it was just awesome. Like, I really like Black Panther now.
So he was part of like the whole process of announcing Civil War and things like that, and he didn't disappoint. And then we got confirmation that, you know, Spidey came home to Marvel after being with Sony Studios. He's still there. They're sharing custody of this child. But he made it to Civil War, and I thought he was good. I didn't mind him. I thought he was a little shoehorned in. I thought he was there for the sake of being there. But I don't mind that he was there. You know what I mean? Like,
are you talking about before you watched the movie, or after you watched the movie?
After.
After?
Yeah.
See, I really liked this Spider-Man. Like, it was awesome because he's still, the way that they chose, like, in his life right now, he's just getting his powers. Yeah, he's getting used to everything.
He's like 6 months into being Spider-Man.
Yeah, and so everything is still like really premature as to how he has his stuff set up. Like, he doesn't even have like a real, you know, suit.
Right.
And he's still learning a lot of his stuff, and just like even in the fight scenes where he's fighting, who was it?
Falcon and
Bucky. The guy's Falcon's like, do you talk? You're not supposed to talk too much in a fight, and he's just like, oh shoot, it's like my first time, doing this. So that it just made me really, really like him now as a character, rather than like Tobey Maguire and
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, but I still enjoyed those two other Spider-Man, but they were in an older part of his, like Tobey Maguire was like, I feel like he was an older Spider-Man, and then Andrew Garfield
they took him all the way to college, and it was like, okay.
Yeah, and then Andrew Garfield was just like a hipster kind of like Spider-Man. This guy's like real. I feel like he's real to the comic book, you know. So I really enjoyed Spider-Man.
I mean, being in the Marvel like mantle, I guess. Like I know that they'll do right by him. Like they'll bring in a character that's supremely faithful to the character that's in the comics. I'm not saying I didn't. I really enjoyed him in the movie. I really enjoyed him in the fight scenes.
Yeah.
All that being said, had you taken that whole thing out, it wouldn't have made a difference in the movie as a whole.
True.
You know, because he literally, he was the Quicksilver, he was the Days of Future Past Quicksilver, you know, version, because he, look at this cool guy, look what he can do, okay, bye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, that was cool, that was awesome, and yeah, I'm pumped, but as a service to the film as a whole, you could do with or without him. So, bringing everybody all together, who was your favorite?
Well, Spider-Man 1, I really liked him. But then, Ant-Man. Ant-Man was awesome. Especially that part where he's like, I've only done this in a Tesla.
Yeah.
So he's like...
and I passed out or something like that.
But that whole, you know, are we going to the best? Are we talking about favorites?
Full on spoilers.
Okay. So, you know, that whole fight scene in the airport.
Yeah.
That whole sequence, that whole... No.
That was like a splash page
that was
on the
awesome.
screen.
Yeah, that was the best part. Like, and everyone's fighting, you know, sequence with each other, like Cap and Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man and Falcon and Bucky. All those parts were cool. Also, Ant-Man fighting War Machine, and he's like, throw the, you know, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he's like, I thought it was a water tank.
That was a water tank. That Ant-Man to me stole the show too. Like those two characters.
Like for me, Ant-Man was, I agree with you on that one. Ant-Man was really great. And then, like I said, T'Challa, like his character was just, he was so good. Like he was really good. And I like the fact that they kind of took the time and the effort, and I hope that like this is it for him as far, because they did an origin story basically for this guy.
Right.
You know, he wasn't before, you know, he was just T'Challa, Prince of Wakanda. He becomes King of Wakanda. He takes on the mantle of the Black Panther. So you've taken care of that.
Yeah.
And then he goes ahead and has this whole character arc. He's seeking vengeance, and then at the end he decides to forgive.
Forgive.
You know, he grows as a character. So I like the fact that they brought him in, they introduced him so well, so much so that now he's well established, and now we can just hit the ground running in his solo film.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about that, and I appreciate how well they introduced him in this movie, so much so that he became one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Speaking of that airport battle, would you say that that's your favorite scene overall?
Yeah. The whole, from the beginning to like the very end of that whole scene, just, you know, it's not like a little part of it where he blows up and he becomes that, you know, giant man or whatever, but the whole, from the very beginning to the very end, that whole thing was awesome. I was just like oh my god. And my girlfriend was like, man, I'm sitting next to you.
Yeah, that scene is pretty great, because again it matches everybody up to like, I think the matchups were really well done. And then, but the only thing that it's like, I feel, and you've seen it more than I have, so maybe I'm just remembering it wrong, but I feel like Vision kind of just disappeared for a little while, and it's like, oh yeah, and now here he is again. Because I feel, and it's kind of the same thing with Wanda, only because they're so overpowered.
I forgot.
Because I remember thinking, like, he can just as easily, like, do that.
Oh, he can blow up everybody, you know?
Like, you know, phase through. And even, like, he does fly through Ant-Man, well, Giant Man at that time. And he's like, somebody's in me, or somebody, like, flew through me, or whatever. I think he can just as easily, like, phase into somebody and then, like, reanimate and, you know, just kill them. Yeah, but then, so... I don't know. I feel like they painted themselves into a corner, and they just kind of said, like, well, we'll forget about him for a little while, and then when he becomes relevant again, when Tony needs him to, like, shoot down Falcon, and then accidentally shoots down Rhodey.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I kind of like the fact that they're, you know, kind of sowing the seeds of the Wanda.
Did you get that too?
Thing.
Okay, because I've read different things or seen some other videos, reaction videos. And other people are thinking that it has to do with the mind gem that he has, you know, that he can't control it. Because remember that time where they're talking in the kitchen, and he's like, I want to understand it so then I can control it more than it's like trying to control me. But when I saw it, and then he explained to Tony like what had happened, he's like, I was distracted. And to me that was like, I'm having feelings.
He has Wanda like going like, oh no, like she's hurt. And then Tony's like, dude, shoot him down. And he's like, okay, bam, you know. And that's another thing. That's kind of another dick move that Tony did. That, so Rhodey gets accidentally shot down. He's flying dead stick, he says. And even Falcon, like, drops down to try and catch him. Like, Falcon is like, okay, no joke, people are getting hurt now.
Right.
Let's finish the scrimmage and, like, focus on... So he's down there, Rhodey lands hard. We think he's dead. Tony's cradling in his arms, and, like, Falcon is going over to him, like, saying, hey, is he okay? And he just straight up, like, shoots him. I'm like, you're a fucking dick, Tony.
And now that you said that, wait, so Vision shoots, War Machine, right? Yeah. His metal was like scraped off. He's wearing, all this metal stuff, and it's getting like, scraped off of his suit.
Yeah.
Falcon doesn't wear shit like that.
Exactly.
that shot was going out to kill him.
Precisely.
And it's like, okay, would that have still been okay?
No, absolutely not.
No, of course not, right?
Yeah, that's another thing that this might end up being this will be the why I hate Tony Stark segment, but I understand that he's salty about his parents dying, okay, and I to a certain point I understand that he's mad at Bucky for having done it, but he was the Winter Soldier at the time. Like, he did not have control over himself. He was ordered to do this, and he had no other choice but to follow these orders.
Right.
So he's all butthurt about him, and he is out for blood.
Oh,
he wants to kill Bucky because of this.
Yeah.
Wanda and his friends, in Age of Ultron, he's saying, they do not like Stark at all in Age of Ultron. They're saying that they were caught in a blast, they were caught in a bomb, there was a bomb that was in front of them, they were waiting for it to explode 3 days or whatever it was, and, it was a Stark Industries bomb, and so they were like, this asshole killed our family, and almost killed us, like, we want to kill him, or thing. But Wanda's not bloodthirsty, like, Wanda, like, let it go,
right,
essentially. Black Panther, in this movie, the whole time he thinks that Bucky killed him. His dad. And he's going after him. He finally realizes, oh, it wasn't him, it was this other guy. It was Zemo. He has Zemo right there, contemplating suicide.
Yeah, for real.
He could have just as easily been like, hey, look, guilt-free, you get to kill, he gets to be dead, and I don't have to do it. Right. But he becomes the bigger man. He says in the movie, their vengeance or whatever is consuming them. Yeah,
consuming them as
vengeance consumed you. Yeah. It's not gonna consume me. He becomes a better person, and not only does he forgive, Zemo, he prevents him from killing himself.
Yeah.
So you got these people that have been in the same situation as Tony has, and have, come through it at the end. And Tony's just, like, bloodthirsty.
Right.
So I was like, I don't understand you right now. Like, you're being irrational, and you should be better than that. You should be smarter than that. You're smart, obviously, but you're completely irrational.
Actually, now that you bring that up, that scene right there, when it finally comes into light as to who they were, I was like, oh no, he's right next to you.
I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be hella awkward. When he's like, what is this? What is this? I was like, Bucky, run. Bucky, just go. So I mean, I don't know, like, I understand it, but I just wish that they would paint him to be a little bit more rational than what he is. He's very reactional, very emotional, and again, that might be just part of, like, how they're interpreting him. Like, those are his flaws, you know what I mean? As far as, instead of alcoholism, let's give him these flaws instead. But yeah, I just, like, that, the whole time, I was like, you're an asshole, Tony. You're an asshole, Tony. Like, it's just, I did the whole movie, and then throughout, and then now still, like, he's not a favorite character of mine. They have I think he's gonna be in Spider-Man.
He is gonna be in Spider-Man.
So maybe him being Tony, maybe him, I don't know if he's gonna be like a mentor to Peter, or
he's gonna be Peter's dad.
Yeah,
Peter's uncle.
Peter's step uncle. So I don't know. Maybe there is redemption, waiting to happen as far as Tony's character, but for now I'm just. Oh, you brought up the thing about Easter eggs, and you mentioned a couple that you said that.
I mean, I didn't catch them originally. I saw another video, and I was like, I was trying to look. The second time I was looking through the film, I was trying to catch any small thing. Like I was trying to write down the codes that they had to bring about
to activate.
And
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and I looked it up, and I had seen a video where someone said these words have meaning to Bucky's.
Well, the only thing that I can think of, because the freight car, was because that's where he fell. The only one that like really caught my eye because it was like bam right in the center when they're when they have Bucky contained and they have him in the cell and it says D and then 23. I was like, D23.
Yeah.
Just because I've been to the convention or whatever. But I don't know what else you would consider an Easter egg. Like,
well, they were saying that there were 117 countries that signed the Accords, and I believe it's Captain America 117 where Falcon makes his first appearance.
Oh, right, yeah. Right.
And then also, well, we talked about those code words, but I want to go back and watch it again and really watch the first Captain America since he was in that one and see how it fits into that situation.
See, and then I now that you mentioned that, it reminded me about the whole like I could do this all day. I don't know necessarily if that is an Easter egg more than a callback, but he does say that in the first one, and I think even in Winter Soldier, but that's like his little catchphrase thing that he likes to say in it. Because Captain never gives up.
And then what's not Agent Carter, but Agent Carter's grand
Agent 13.
Agent 13. Yep. That she was saying that Peggy had told her that it was her duty to stand up to the government. And
and the eulogy.
That's
was like the weirdest eulogy to give because that was extremely specific to Steve. It's like that's what he needed to hear.
That's a direct quote in the comic books.
Yeah, he says that to Spidey, right?
Spider-Man, yeah. I had heard also that they, in the last couple of movies too, there's always been some type of Star Wars reference.
Well,
never caught it. But
the Star Wars reference is that somebody loses an arm at every movie. Now, off the top of my head, the only ones that I can think of are Bucky loses his arm in this one. I think in the Dark World, Loki loses an arm. There's, I forget who. In Iron Man 3, the real Mandarin loses his arm in the fight.
Oh.
There's other ones I can't remember off the top of my head. Like, there's 13 movies that you know. But in every movie, I think in every movie in Phase 2, somebody loses an arm, and that's a reference to Star Wars, in which somebody loses an arm in every movie in that franchise as well. So there's that. I kind of want to go back now and see. Try and catch.
Watch all of them?
Well, maybe.
I wish I would have. I think for the next one, I'm going to try to watch every single one of them, like the marathons. One thing that I did want to point out was I thought it was badass. The whole fight scene with Tony Stark and Captain America, and it's done and over with, and he says, "You don't deserve that shield. That was my father made that shield." It's like, boom.
It's like, have
Toma, here, have it. I'm good without it. What about you? What are you without a suit?
So, like, what do you think now? Like, I guess we'll wrap up by saying, like, where do you think where these characters are now? Like, where do they go?
Okay.
What would you like to see happen to these characters?
That's a very good question. I feel like they're gonna bring the battle to Wakanda, off of
the singer.
Yeah, and then the you stayed for the other the trailer for that one. I kind of didn't like that one for whatever reason. The whole bat signal.
Which I mean, it's a callback to them. Like back in the day, he used to have a flashlight with like his face on it.
There was something going on.
And so he would have that. But I don't know. It looked like an interface. That makes me worry that instead of Peter being, tech savvy and science savvy on his own.
Right.
That he's going to rely on Tony. So I don't know how good I feel about that. But yeah, so I don't think that they're going to bring the fight over to Wakanda. I think that first stinger was just to introduce Wakanda
his movie.
As a place for his own movie.
Forgot about that.
So the interesting thing is now, like, they're like, everyone's kind of scattered. You know what I mean? Like, they can't, the Avengers can't operate technically because they're pseudo fugitives.
Right.
Well, they are. They're explicit fugitives because they escaped from the raft, the jail, the underwater jail, with help from Steve.
Yeah.
And then Tony just kind of like turns a blind eye just because they've kind of patched things up, which is another thing that I find kind of like meh about the movie. Like, it's called Civil War. It was more of like a civil scrimmage.
You're right.
Than a civil war. I didn't see any lasting effects as far as like, well, now they're broken. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, Cap was like, hey, Tony, my bad for not telling you about Bucky. I realize that now. We're cool, right? Here's a phone.
Here's a phone. Call
Hit me up. Like,
why isn't it an iPhone?
Well, no, it's a burner phone. Like, it's
that's true.
It's one of those phones you got at Walmart. He's like, use it only once, and then you throw it away after you call me. So everything was kind of like hunky dory towards the end of the movie. So I was like, hunky dory as far as like they're concerned. Like, they're still technically a team, but what's it gonna take now? I wonder how big the disaster is gonna be for them to
get back together.
I mean, I know maybe Thanos is gonna be.
I was gonna say the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, he just comes, starts wrecking havoc. Guardians of the Galaxy are like, hey, we need to help you. We need to team up, and then everybody comes together. Yeah,
that could be a thing, maybe. But I don't know. Like, as far as like what's in store for them, I'm not too sure. Like, they're pretty scattered, so I don't know how they're gonna come together, but I'm excited to find out.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Plus, there's been a lot of changes even before the movie came out. Like, they were supposed to, as far as like the lineup for different.
Yeah, because of Spidey.
Like they trashed Inhumans, which not necessarily a big fan of, but I would be excited for them to make a film out of it. But I guess it's not the more popular thing.
So overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I think that it did a lot for some of the characters. I'm really excited to see moving forward how they continue to develop and grow as individuals and then as part of this team.
Because it was really cool to see them, like, they brought on new characters, and the Avengers themselves, they already work together as a team, right? Mm-hmm. They already know their strengths and weaknesses, and then to bring on newer characters and just to create like a team up on the fly is like, okay, these people can work together really well.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Jump.
But so out of 10, I gave it an 8 out of 10 initially, but thinking more about it, kind of digesting it, I think I'm gonna go 8.5. It's not that big of it's not that big of a jump, but it's not a perfect movie. Like, I wouldn't give it a 10. I wouldn't give it a 9 because there's still me personally. Yeah. There's to me there's still some things, like I said, like the way that they presented Tony to me, it just kind of, there's this like pebble in my shoe now with this character, and so like that kind of irks me. And then, like I said, like, so there's some technical things where it's like, come on, Disney, like I've seen you do better. Like, not to be like a snob about it or anything, but like there were points where it kind of took me out of the movie. So
yeah,
I do have to kind of fault it a little bit for that. So, but otherwise, 8.5 out of 10, not a bad score. Like, it's not like, I'm not gonna.
It's like a B+.
It's like yeah. What about you?
For me, I'd give it a 9. I just really enjoyed it. But you're right. Like, there are some parts that was slow, but it brought everything together, I think. All the fight scenes were awesome, except for the beginning where it was just a little bit of shaky.
You felt it was too much.
Yeah, but it was. I just really liked the whole thing. I want to see it again, and it was just better than the other films that I've seen recently, as far as like, I hated Iron Man 3. No, but
Stupid.
yeah, I love the movie. I mean, I wouldn't give it a 10, but I'd give it a for sure 9 for me. You know, it was just great.
Yeah, I think, I mean, and even, well, no, see, yeah, I think I would give Iron Man a 10. I would say Iron Man a definite 10. Winter Soldier would have to see it again and be like a 9.5. I stand by what I said, 8.5 out of 10. That's not bad. Fight me about it, I don't care.
You can go 8.75.
No, 8.5. Maybe, I do plan on watching it maybe again tonight, but I might walk out of the theater going, you know what? 8.75. Maybe it was a little harsh on cartoony Black Panther. Anyway, so that is our, I don't know, spoiler talk review on Civil War, reactions on Civil War. If you like what you heard, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment below on things that you may agree or disagree with. And follow me on social media. I'm everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, MySpace. No, I'm just kidding.
You're still MySpace?
No, I'm just kidding on that one. But all the rest are at Maniac for Media. If you want to give your handle, that's fine. If not, you can stay private.
No, I don't care.
I don't care about you. Actually, no. If you want to give your handle, if you want to go ahead and give him a follow, because he does. He's a very huge comic nerd, so he'll comment on comic things, and you also draw a bunch of stuff, which is really cool. So
I like to draw when I get
the inspiration.
The inspiration to draw.
So give him your.
But handle. Yeah, my thing's Serg171.
And you'll find him on Instagram. That's where mostly where he's was at, and so I'll put that down below. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.